Only 3 games in the world of basketball yesterday. That being said, there was still quite a bit of news, so let's just get into everything that went down yesterday. Right now guys, what I want you to do is leave a like on this video if you are sick and tired of hearing about Carmelo Anthony and or Phil Jackson making headlines every other day, because they did it again yesterday. Now this season so far, Phil Jackson has been holding no punches whatsoever when it comes to Knicks star Carmelo Anthony. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he came out and said that he believes Carmelo could play the same role Kobe and Jordan did in his triangle offense. Fast forward a few months and now he's trying to trade him. And fast forward after a few failed attempts at trading him, and now he's just straight up taking shots at Carmelo on Twitter. Phil Jackson came out on Twitter yesterday and said, I quote, "Bleachers ding almost rings the bell, but I learned you don't change a spot on a leopard with Graham in my CBA days." Alright, so for those of you that are a bit confused by what this tweet means at first glance, you are not alone. I had to do a bit of deciphering myself to find out exactly what he was talking about. Now to break it down for you guys, first he says bleachers ding, referring to Bleacher Report's Kevin Ding. Now Kevin Ding had just wrote an article titled Phil Jackson, Knicks doomed by wanting Carmelo to be something he's not. And in the article he says this: Anthony is a likable person who just happens to be nothing near Jordan or Bryant and will to win. No, Jackson never thought Anthony had that fire, but he thought that he could balance Anthony's ball dominance by teaching him teamwork and converting talent into a clear net positive. Now that was pretty straightforward. Basically what he's saying was Phil Jackson knew Anthony isn't Kobe or he knew he isn't Jordan, but he wanted to essentially make Anthony's talent useful to the team and not just himself. He'd also go on in the article to mention things like how Anthony is having his worst career assist-wise since the 2012-2013 NBA season, and that he's addicted to individual success, you know, stuff like that. I'll have the full article in the description if any of you guys want to read it. So Phil says that that article almost rings a bell, meaning that he agrees with it for the most part. Then he goes on to say that he learned you don't change a spot on a leopard with Graham in his CBA days. So what does that mean? Well, change the spot on a leopard is a pretty basic saying, meaning that Carmelo is who he is. And when he says Graham, he's referring to Michael Graham, who was actually a teammate of Patrick Ewing back in Georgetown. He was said to be a real talent, but lacked the discipline to play in the NBA. He did play in the CBA, however, which is basically like today's D-League. And of course his coach in the CBA was none other than Phil Jackson. And long story short, Phil tried to discipline him. Graham wasn't having it, the two of them got into it in the middle of a game, and that was the last of Graham. So now back to Phil's tweet. He meant that after experiencing Graham, he no longer tries to change players, referring to he knows that he can't change Carmelo Anthony. So now that we got Phil's tweet deciphered, the question is why? Why would Phil Jackson come out and say that he agrees with what Ding said on Twitter when Ding's article would only lower Carmelo's value? It just doesn't make sense. It's like you're trying to sell a car, and instead of mentioning its good qualities, you point out the fact that it only has 3 tires. See, a lot of Knicks fans aren't too happy with Melo, but at the same time, they're not too happy with Phil either. And to an extent, none of this is really Carmelo's fault. I mean, the Knicks have never really built a good team around him. I mean, their attempt this year with bringing in Derrick Rose and a has-been and Joakim Noah and calling that a super team was just sad, quite frankly. And if I'm Melo and Phil Jackson is constantly taking shots at me, it's kind of like, look, what do you want from me? Look at the talent or lack of talent you're surrounding me with. I mean, yeah, I got Porzingis, but he's only in his 2nd year. What am I supposed to do with this team? We are not built to win. So there's that, and then on top of that, you're ruining your brand image. See, what free agent is going to want to come play for you when they see how you treat your star player in Melo? If you're constantly putting Carmelo on blast, who do you think you're gonna get? And at this point, it's not just Melo that needs to leave New York. I'd even go as far to say that Phil needs to leave more than Melo does. Not taking anything away from Phil's greatness or his legacy at all. I just don't think that this is the right situation for him. Let me know what you guys think about this though. Do you agree with Phil putting Carmelo on blast like that? And do you think that Phil should just walk away from the Knicks at this point? Just let me hear your opinions down in the comment section below. In other news, it turns out someone is fed up with social media as DeMarcus Cousins goes dark. As you guys know, he received his 16th technical of the season in Sacramento's game against Chicago on Tuesday, meaning that he will serve a 1-game suspension against the Boston Celtics tonight. And he could find himself sitting out quite a few more games this season at this rate, as he will now be suspended for every 2 texts he gets from now on. In lieu of all of this, Cousins has deactivated his Twitter and his Instagram accounts. This is probably just a move on his part so he can cool off and get his head together. Now we all know DeMarcus Cousins has a tough time with the refs and he is well known for losing his cool. He knows, however, how important he is to this team. I mean, he basically is the team. And he doesn't want to keep missing games while the Kings continue to fight for the 8th seed. I mean, they're only 3.5 games out. That's about it for all the news though, so now let's just get into the games from last night. The Blazers built themselves a bit of a lead in the second quarter when they went on a 16-2 run. However, the Dallas Mavericks fought back. Dirk was out there looking like prime Dirk, and Harrison Barnes was showing that he was worth every penny that Dallas spent on him. 26 points for Barnes and 25 for Dirk, including a late 3 with around 3 seconds left that gave the Mavericks the lead. However, CJ McCollum did not feel like losing yesterday as he hit a free throw line floater to give the Blazers the lead back, and then the eventual win as Devin Harris's desperation heave at the buzzer did not even come close. 32 points for CJ McCollum, 29 points and 6 assists for Damian Lillard. Some bad news for Portland fans though, or good news considering I've seen quite a few Blazers fans say that they are unhappy with them. Evan Turner broke his hand midway through the third quarter running into Harrison Barnes, so he will most definitely be out for at least a couple of months. Well, this wasn't the most entertaining game in the world. It really was never that close. The Rockets built a 16-point lead at the half and wound up winning 128-104 over Orlando. James Harden didn't have the best shooting night from the field as he shot 6 of 21, but he did still have 25 points, 13 assists, and 6 rebounds. Eric Gordon also contributed 18 points off the bench for Houston, who are now 38-17 on the year. For the Magic, Serge Ibaka continues to try and up his trade value as well as his free agent value. He had 28 points and 8 rebounds on the night. Well, if you need to snap a 7-game losing streak, there is no other team that you'd like to face than the Brooklyn Nets. However, if you're on a 7-game losing streak and you lose to the Nets, then that just might be a sign that you will never ever win again. Luckily for the Hornets though, that's not the case. They got the 111-107 win over Brooklyn last night, and at the half it looked like it was going to be a blowout. I mean, the Hornets led by 17 points. But Brooklyn fought back though behind Bogdanovic and his 22 points and 5 rebounds, and Brook Lopez and his 20 points and 5 rebounds. Like I said though, it was the Hornets who got the win. 17 points for Kemba Walker, Nick Batum, and Marco Bellinelli off the bench, as 7 of the Hornets players score in double digits. And that about wraps up all the action for the day 106 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. And now it's time to get into the player of the day. Yesterday, you guys selected LeBron James and his 32 points and career-high 17 assists as your player of the day. And here are today's nominees. You have CJ McCollum and his 32 points, including the game winner, Damian Lillard and his 29 points and 6 assists, or James Harden and his 25 points, 13 assists, and 6 rebounds. As always, you guys can go vote for the player of the day right now on the Amino Hardwood NBA app. The link to the poll will be in the description box below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like on it if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NBA videos. And guys, if there's ever anything you want to see in the daily recaps, make sure you follow me on Twitter. You guys can make suggestions, whether it be an article you guys want me to respond to or something that went down, just anything. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. I do follow everyone back, so there is that too. But as always, I'll be right back here tomorrow with some more NBA fire. So until then, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!